It's been a long time. Stop. It's been a long time. Yeah, come on. Take this from me. Yeah. Hey, yo, it's my life, my time, my rights, my rhymes, my grind, my struggle, hustle, sweat in my blood too. I'm letting the smell fear. I smell a lot. My competitors fled scared. Cause they smelled I was hot. I want it all. Excess, the sex, much success, stress up. I want it all, no less. So come on.
What up? It's your boy T-Bear on Reaction. We're gonna do some more 10s of wrestling. This is 10 on the forgotten or don't remember. This is from What Culture. 10 forgotten WWE manager you totally don't remember. And from the cover, I do remember him and why he is possibly in that situation. But other than that, let's check out some managers I definitely recall was one time or possibly don't remember. It might be a blip of memory, but either way, we'll take a look at that and see if I remember or if you remember. Let's get it.
For every legendary WWE manager like Bobby Heenan or Paul Heyman, there are hundreds of forgotten faces who didn't quite reach those levels. Now, some of these people only had fleeting runs in the company. There are also actually a few that should have worked out and enjoyed longer spells than they did, really. Either way, I am Gareth, this is What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 forgotten WWE managers you totally don't remember. Number 10, the Commandant. Don Callis had nothing on the Commandant. Okay, that's clearly nonsense. Don's run as the Jackal had way more potential than the WWF realized back in 1997, but probably with a gimmick other than the military-based Truth Commission. That was a way better fit for the group's original manager, that aforementioned Commandant. He was an actor called Robin Smith that Bret Hart met in South Africa, and the pair just hit it off. The Hitman recommended his new pal to Vince McMahon, and the Commission idea debuted in affiliate promotion USWA. Then McMahon brought them to core WWF programming. But the Commandant only lasted a few months on TV before being replaced. When people think Truth Commission, they think Jackal, right? Actually, do people really think about the Commission at all in 2024?
Right.
No, I don't. But if you were a lover of Recon, Sniper, and Kurgan the Interrogator, then you let...
In case you know, that's Bull Buchanan and a.k.a. Brooks Jensen's pops.
Let me know in the comments. Number 9, Oliver Humperdinck. Poor Oliver Humperdinck debuted in the WWF
old manager.
at the worst possible time. He came over from the NWA in 1987, but struggled to find house room next to ringside icons like Bobby Heenan and Jimmy Hart. There's some legends right there. Also, Oliver was a babyface manager, and that wasn't really something the Federation handled well during that era. Who knows, things might have been different had he been a heel instead. Humperdinck managed Bam Bam Bigelow during his own initial and definitely out-of-place face run, and Paul Orndorff during his stay with the promotion. By mid-1988, though, he was on the outs and back in the Alliance right before it changed to WCW. So much for making a splash in the WWF big time, eh? In retrospect, Oliver's presentation was all over the bloody place, really. Bam Bam's flame motif and head tattoos didn't really jive with Humperdinck's garish Wizard of Oz look. It was an odd fit, and it certainly didn't help that the manager's promos were a bit too friendly and tame either. Look at that jacket, though. Now I've got a question for you. Who do you think is the most underrated manager of all time? I think it's Humperdinck for that jacket alone, but you let me know what you think. Number 8, Clarence Mason. It was always strange when the cartoonish world of the WWF tried to mimic gritty real-world events. Case in point, Clarence Mason. He was a lawyer character who was meant to capitalize on publicity from the O.J. Simpson trial that had been hot news in the mid-1990s, and unsurprisingly, nobody cared. Mason was initially Jim Cornette's attorney, but turned into a manager by guiding Crush's career once he was rehired. Then Clarence joined the Nation of Domination while still managing Owen Hart and British Bulldog for some reason. Yeah, it was pretty messy booking. Vince McMahon then lost interest in the lawyer gimmick and released Mason in mid-1997. WCW hired him after that because, well, of course they did. Pretty sure I even ended up with a job there that year, and I would have been 3 at the time. Mason's run there as Jay Biggs was totally rubbish and included him warring with Booker T over the T initial. Thrilling stuff. Overall, Clarence failed to turn heads. He didn't take bumps and didn't actually do that much talking during promos either. The fact he somehow worked for 2 major promotions is a bit of a head scratcher. Number 7, Amy Weber. Anyone who actually remembers Amy Weber's time as JBL's image consultant between 2004 and 2005, well, they deserve a prize. That is some hardcore I have every episode of Raw and SmackDown committed to memory fandom right there. I don't know what the prize is. Maybe it's just an invisible trophy. There you go. So Weber was only in Bradshaw's cabinet for a short spell before leaving WWE. Post-departure, she'd claimed that bullying antics from Edge and Randy Orton pushed her out the door. Amy, who had been a Diva Search contestant in 2004, would only wrestle 1 match for the company during her tenure, and it was a completely forgettable angle-cum-bout thing versus Joy Giovanni, another female from the era that wasn't really there for long. If you're watching this and just nodded like, I remember that too, then you win another prize. There you go. 2 invisible trophies in 1 video, you lucky person. Weber was just one of many divas of the day who came and went without much noise. In fact, it seems there was more drama off-screen than in front of cameras. Number 6, Shinja. Hakushi was originally earmarked as a possible opponent for The Undertaker, but nobody in the Fed did their homework to find out what size the Japanese wrestler was. Yes, Hakushi was hired suddenly, then everyone was disappointed that he wasn't the same height as Taker. Welcome to the WWF in 1994-1995, people. Bruce Pritchard has openly admitted that via his podcast in the past. Hakushi didn't cut promos, so the WWF put Old Orient Express member Sato with him. He was renamed Shinja and would accompany the newbie to ringside for his matches. But here's the kicker. Shinja didn't do much, if any, talking himself. So it was a really strange decision to just lump the pair together. Shinja was written off TV.
Here's another very random thing. At first, there was no he was tagging with Quang as a Shogun. I guess this is before they decided to make Quang into Savio Vega. But yes.
Once Hakushi turned babyface in the summer of '95, and that had proved to be his last gig with the company. I mean, technically, he counts as a manager, despite never really cutting promos on anyone's behalf. He did interfere in some matches at least, so, you know, that's something. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. Thank you very much for stopping by to check out this What Culture Wrestling Forgotten Manager video today, my friend. If you're having a laugh with it, then hit that subscribe button down below, and you will have more laughs with more What Culture videos. It's very simple, you know, just do it. Number 5, Sylvester Lefort is one from the early days of NXT. Sylvester Lefort was a French wrestler who'd been around the WWE scene since 2011. By 2013, he was working mainly as a manager on the new NXT developmental show. His clients? None other than Scott Dawson, Dax Harwood of FTR fame, and Garrett Dillon. Lefort's flashy jackets and sleazeball aesthetic clashed with the southern sensibilities of his team, but it was still clear the man had charisma. WWE must have agreed too, because they put Sylvester with Rusev after that, and he even facilitated the start of Rusev's on-screen relationship with real-life lover Lana. The flamboyant Frenchman did a bit more wrestling afterwards, but still kept managing here or there. And at one stage, he was managing future Iconic star Billy Kay on NXT house shows. Apparently, management didn't think that union had enough legs to make it to telly, though. Here's a fun little side note as well. Lefort was actually one of the extras Randy Orton slammed on the announce desk during WWE's Backlash 2024 weekend in France. That was a fun little cameo. Now make him Randy Orton's manager, why not? Number 4, Hiroko.
That's her name,
Kenzo Suzuki is another worker that Bruce Pritchard has mentioned on his podcast, but the WWE higher-up actually went in two-footed on him for failing to connect with fans. Now, in fairness to Bruce, Kenzo was a failed experiment and never really seemed like a neat fit for the product when he debuted in 2004.
That's another guy else that made an appearance from WWE that was from Japan that passed away. I almost got mixed up with, but yeah.
And the same could be said for his wife, Hiroko. Together, the couple tried to get some kind of heat by having Hiroko.
I always remember, made by Crazy, you always remember Hiroko because of John Cena little rap battle against Kenzo. He said, I'll paint her face white.
Cut brief promos lambasting fans for not cheering loud enough during Suzuki's matches. It was all very basic stuff, but people still didn't give Kenzo the reactions that WWE were looking for. So they just stuck him in a heel team with Rene Dupree, and Hiroko began managing him too. Remember that tag team? Oh, you do? Another trophy. But yeah, the writing was on the wall here. 1 year after debuting in June 2004, Kenzo and Hiroko were released from their contracts. They'd actually be moved to Raw in the 2005 draft, but would not appear on the flagship before being let go. It was a bit of a mercy killing for the gimmick, being totally honest. Number 3, Jameson. Now, good luck remembering this guy.
They finally got me because I don't remember that guy at all.
Giacomo portrayed the character Jameson for a while during the late 1980s and into the early 90s, but he's never really brought up in conversation when fans discuss peripheral WWF or WWE gimmicks. Despite that, Jameson did actually manage the Bushwhackers temporarily. Whoa. It was doomed to fail, though. Jameson was introduced as a recurring cast member on Primetime Wrestling / The Bobby Heenan Show. He was a stereotypical nerd who marked out for everything WWF, but also had this strange elitist aura at the same time. He wasn't prominent, but it was definitely there. Jameson would have judged you for your favorite wrestlers, that is for sure. His time next to Luke and Butch was a bit more straightforward and one-dimensional. Jameson was just happy to be there, really, and he was over the moon to appear on major pay-per-views like Royal Rumble. Honestly, Christ knows who this was supposed to be marketed towards or why fans were expected to cheer for him. What a weird bit of business. Number 2, Baron. Iconic classic wrestling heel Baron von Raschke was still actively wrestling when he signed on to become a manager in the WWF towards the end of the 80s. In 1988, Raschke was brought in to manage Powers of Pain duo The Barbarian and Warlord, but he'd only make a handful of appearances. Mr. Fuji switched from Demolition to the Pain Train after that. In total, Baron, who lost the Von Raschke part of his name, only worked from SummerSlam 88 in August up until that November. Not that long then. He was responsible for turning Powers of Pain heel following their brief run as babyface-esque mercenaries drafted in by Tito Santana. It was a tumultuous time for the pair, put it that way. The Baron just wasn't long for the WWF party. Raschke left and rejoined the AWA. He'd stay put in Vern Gagne territory until the company folded, and then began making cameo appearances in WCW. Latterly, Baron even showed up on one of AEW's pay-per-views.
Really?
Look at him go. Number 1, Abraham Washington. This really should have worked out, but one moment ended everything. Abraham Washington was a charismatic chap who debuted as part of the dying ECW brand in 2009. But when that folded, it was back to development for Abe. Then in 2012, WWE offered him a role as a manager on the main roster. It was tailor-made for someone with Washington's gift of the gab. He offered his services to everyone from Mark Henry to Primo and Epico, but quickly turned on the latter two to represent primetime players duo Darren Young and Titus O'Neil. Things then fell apart following that hot start when Abraham made a tasteless joke at ringside about Kobe Bryant's 2003 sexual assault case. The backlash was significant enough that WWE tore Washington's contract up and distanced themselves from his remarks. For reference, Abe wearing a headset.
People, all the real reasons, because he endorsed something with, he said something about Linda's campaign, something like that. But still, yeah, man. But still funny, and that whole night, he do shit like Kobe. He said, "Yo, mama," that crapped me up, but yeah.
Said Titus O'Neil is like Kobe Bryant at a hotel in Colorado. He's unstoppable. What was he thinking? That was a huge mistake and proved to be a costly decision for his career in the end. Have you enjoyed this WWE list? Then go and check out this 10.
Cool. Oh, we got the Skrull Tag Team. I think I have that on my list. I'm gonna check it out. But other than that, this is a cool list right here. They have right here though for sure. So other than that, if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And any other managers that should be in this list as well too, comment down below. It's your boy T-Bear signing off. One love.